Alright, so here's the contraption I got set up to push that top piece in and then pull that circlip in there. You can kind of see it. Pull that out. When I pull it out, I'm just going to use a little pick set. Got one of these wood clamps. It's holding okay. I still don't really trust it. So I'll hold this end of the clamp as I'm doing it, and then I'll pry that ring out of there without breaking it, hopefully. Other ways I've seen it done, obviously, was with the ball peen hammer. Stick the ball part in there, push it on it, and kind of wrestle it out. Honestly, I'm thinking this is probably going to be like the hardest part of the whole thing. So we'll see what happens once I get it apart. Alright, so as you can see, I did get it off the fork top, or whatever you want to call it. Pretty easy. That little wood clamp idea was a pretty good idea. You can use anything on here. Make sure you put something down to protect it. You don't want to scratch this surface because this will ride directly on your seals. But that worked pretty good. Clamp it on here, and then put the ball end right here, the ball end of the C-clamp. Fits right in there pretty good. It's a kind of a cockeyed situation, so you want to be careful with it. And then all you gotta do is just pull this circlip out, or a little clip, whatever you want to call it. I just stuck the screwdriver in there. I ended up using a flat tip, or not a flat tip, a pointed tip punch. Reach in there and kind of pried it off a little bit. And then all I did was I reached in with my needle nose pliers and just kind of followed it all the way around, nice and easy. Meanwhile, I was holding the C-clamp the entire time to make sure nothing was crazy was gonna happen. And then when I let that off, I let it off nice and slow and held it, and I kind of put my hand around it because there is spring pressure in here, because obviously you got your springs right here. One thing to notice about the fork top, fork cap, whatever you want to call it, is this O-ring. This one actually looks pretty good, so obviously inspect yours. If a guy was going to do this the right way, which this is my first time, so you can't really judge me on that. I would probably order these O-rings just to be safe. You can probably get the Honda OEM ones for real cheap, you know, a couple bucks a piece. So I'll clean this up, clean the circlip up, and put it over there in my good pile. And then we'll go ahead and get up onto the next part of this, pulling these apart. Alright, so everything I could see in the other video and in my manual, the next step is just going to be to go ahead and pull this spring out. Look how dirty that stuff is. Stuff's probably never been changed. 1985, guys. I'm going to pull it out nice and slow. I've heard a couple different videos I've watched that there's a, like, okay, say this end, the coils might be a little bit tighter. So obviously you want to make sure that you put it in the same way you took it apart. So I'm just pulling it apart nice and slow because I don't know what the heck else is in there that I might drop out. And of course I'm videotaping it. Okay, so got a nice clean spot to set it on. I'm not seeing any specific, you know, it doesn't look any tighter on either end, so I imagine it probably could go in either way. But just to be safe, I'm going to leave it sitting this way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clean it off, set it off to the side, and put it in my good pile. My clean pile, I should say. Next step is to take out of the vise and then stand this end up and let the rod fall out this end, so that'll be my next step. Alright, so I stood it up on end, the same end that the fork top came off of. So on this end you got your rod sticking out, you stand it up this way, and you just jiggle it back and forth a couple times, and go ahead and let it fall out. And here's what came out was the, I don't know what you call this, I guess I think they call it like a dampering rod. And then I'm guessing this is probably like your secondary spring or whatever. And then on here there's a little, I don't know what it is, like a neoprene or some sort of kind of like a plasticky bushing. This one looks like it's in pretty good shape. Hopefully it's good. Once again, if I was going to rebuild these forks again, I would go ahead and I would order this just to be safe, because obviously it's probably a wearable part, you know, so it can be replaced. So if a guy was going to do it the right way, which I told you again, this is not my 1000th time doing it. It's my first time. So we'll go ahead and we'll clean this stuff up, and we'll go ahead and put it in the pile. As you can see, I got both my forks stood up. What I'm doing is I'm wiping all the oil off with like a nice dirty rag. I mean, it's just oil or whatever. And then I'm spraying it all with, except for the seals and stuff, I'm spraying it all with just some starting fluid. You know, the carb cleaner, starting fluid, whatever. This, what is it, Super Tech from Walmart. It's actually some pretty badass stuff. And it's $1.50 or $2 a can compared to the O'Reilly's or Advanced Auto brands or whatever, quite a bit cheaper. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get this cleaned up, and once again put it over there in the good clean pile. And I think probably next is to go ahead and start working on pulling that other clips and the seals. So we'll get those all cleaned out, and then maybe we'll be done here pretty soon. Alright guys, so I was right. The next step is to remove, right in here you've got this little clip. Got some little pry spots. Be careful not to mark up any of these surfaces. And then of course you got it goes all the way around. It's got a little space right here. Pretty much the same deal as the bottom clip, except for it's got these little indents to be able to pull it out. And then all you gotta do is reach in there with a screwdriver and kind of work it back and forth. You use a flat tip. You'll just kind of spin it back and forth all the way around and get the oil seal to come out nice and straight. What you don't want to do is have it flip up and have it come out sideways. Not that it's a big deal because you're not reusing this seal, and these seals are aren't metal or anything, so I'm not going to scrape anything up, but just generally speaking with bearings or anything like that, you want to pull them out just as square and as true as you possibly can. So I'll go ahead and get those pulled out, and then I'll go ahead or get the clip pulled out, and then I'll get the oil seal pulled out. The only thing I'm going to take note of is how the oil seal comes out. I'll take it and I'll set it face down on the bench. That way I know, okay, it came out this way, I'm going to put it back in the same exact way, because I know that's a big thing that a lot of people put the oil seals in upside down, and I don't want to do that. So I'll go ahead and get this pulled out. I'll compare it to the new seal, and we'll start cleaning everything up, and we should be able to start putting it back together here in a minute. Alright, so here's your little retaining clip. Sorry, my phone went off. Here's your little retaining clip. Came out pretty easy. Once again, I just pushed it on this little dent, grabbed it with my needle nose very carefully, and peeled it all the way around. Came out. Here's your old oil seal, as you can see. Okay, so the way to remember this one is pretty easy. All these seals have a little metal, looks like a little metal spring or a little metal core, and that metal core or spring, whatever you want to call it, is faced up. So as you're putting it in, you should be able to see that little seal. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my new seals, hold them up against each other, and we'll see what we can get figured out here and make sure they're the right ones. And meanwhile, I got my forks bottom stood up. Once again, getting all that oil cleaned out of there. I'll spray it out real good, get everything, all the gunk and everything cleaned out of there, and we'll go ahead and start putting the new seal back in. Alright guys, so don't mind me, I got a little sidetracked opening up my new seals. Kind of a cool thing that Honda sends with it. Here's the name of the actual product, is Seal Set FR for front and then fork. So Seal Set front fork, and it works pretty good. Got your little diagram here, shows your little dust seal and all that kind of stuff, and then your oil seal, and then your marking band, which I don't know what the hell that is, your shirt clip, all that other bullshit. Just kind of a cool little thing that they send with it. Figured I'd show you guys if there's something that'll help you out. You can pause the video and take a screenshot or whatever, but just something I want to show you real fast. I'm going to go ahead and get back to cleaning up these forks. Alright, so as I started cleaning this fork bottom, I did find one more piece. Looking at that, it goes in like this with the, the bowl shape up. And I'll go ahead and clean that up and get it ready to go. But according to this, that is called the Spring Garter Black. Mine's not black. I don't know what the hell that means. Don't really know. Covered in shit. This oil is just sludgy. But alright, go ahead and get back to cleaning this stuff up.